Ryan and KD at the fourth one.
A 63% chance to beat the
Just KD and James Harden.
As you say, that team won't even make it to the finals to challenge them.
I got the Bucks.
Okay, and we'll get to see KD versus the Bucks tonight.
And get the
First
big old ring.
Okay.
Ring.
I'm going to give you this. I think GM LeBron James had a great offseason, and I think it got even better last night because they just jumped all over Avery Bradley, and they said, let's get that band back together, right?
Yeah.
So they brought back Avery Bradley after Golden State said no to him.
Right.
Remember, Avery opted out of the bubble after he had some huge games, one in particular against my Clippers,
There you go.
in which he went crazy, go nuts from three. Remember that?
I do.
And it was the Avery Bradley Memorial
Yeah,
game.
that's what you do.
And he can flat out shoot it on occasion, and we know he can defend at a high
he can
level.
defend at a high level.
And we know he can play with LeBron. We know he can complement Rondo and Dwight because he's played with them before. So they got part of the band back together, right?
Yes.
And I got to give it up. I told you from the start, I like Wayne Ellington, and I like Kendrick Nunn, and I like Malik Monk.
You like everything, but
I like Banks more. Where do I like Trevor Reeves. I know he's hurt for the moment, and I've always liked THG, and he's hurt for a little while, but I think he'll be back. So the making, and I liked Austin Reeves at Oklahoma. Again, I watched him a lot, and I'm not sure he can beat Caruso, but LeBron likes what he sees. So take him under his wing and try to make him. And Caruso became the co-closer. You know, he became LeBron's running mate down the stretch. And I think LeBron was not happy that they, for salary cap purposes, said no, for luxury tax purposes, said too rich for our blood, and they did keep Caruso, as in Caruso, as he was dubbed by the Lakers. Well, I'm saying he's a good player. He doesn't look the part, but he can play the part, right? Okay, so you're trying to make up for him with Austin Reeves, and it's got possibilities.
Okay.
I do not love that you jumped on DeAndre Jordan, who is a cast-off by the Brooklyn Nets.
But you got to give him credit, Skip. He's looked good in the preseason.
Well,
Has he not looked good?
I just think he's looked. He's just been out there, and I think he's going to start because they like Dwight to come in and just wreak havoc for 15 minutes and get 5 fouls and just alienate everybody. You know, just tick off everybody. And he plays the rock and roll, and I love Dwight at this stage and age of his career. So all that works for me.
Right.
Except for the new point guards. And I am confounded by the fact that the best point guard in basketball, the best passer in basketball, LeBron James, is actually passing the keys to the kingdom to one Russell Westbrook, who is extremely high turnover, and he's led this league in turnovers 4 times, finished second 4 times, and he's off to the literal races because that's what he does.
He got that out the blood.
He races up the court and he dribbles it off his foot. So what did he do in the preseason? He had 23 total turnovers, and that by far led the league in preseason turnovers. I know it's just preseason, but it even got contagious for LeBron in the preseason because one game he had 7 turnovers in the first half. It was actually 6 on the box score, but he had a 7th that I showed you, and you said, oh, that's a turnover. Okay, so 7 turnovers and a half was so uncharacteristic of LeBron that I'm thinking, do they really go together? Do they really click? This is all well and good for the regular season, and you say you're going to prick your thumb occasionally, and I got that, but I don't see anybody in the West that will threaten the Lakers. I'm sorry, I can't get excited about Denver, and I can't get excited about Utah, and I even can't get excited about Phoenix. Not that excited, given this roster. Haven't even brought up Melo yet, but remember, LeBron is going to be benefiting from having 3 other Hall of Famers to be. 3 others. KD is going to have 1 other Hall of Famer to be, right? He's going to have James Harden, and you're going to have Melo and AD and obviously Westbrook. Okay? So I love the firepower of this. I love the sort of magic of this because, man, I'm going to be all eyes and all ears.
Dwight going to be in the hall, too.
Dwight, well, you know what? That's true. I'll give you that because he just is. I mean, it's hard to sort of process that, but he is because he's what, 3-time defensive player of the year. Yes, of course, everybody gets in the basketball Hall of Fame, but you're right. So there's another one that KD will not have at his beck and call, as LeBron will have. So there's going to be a lot of chemistry. There's going to be a lot of aura to it. There's going to be a lot of mystique to it. There's going to be marquee to it. I know our man Lil Wayne texted me. He's taking his son to the game tonight because he can't wait for this, because this is show time.
Yeah.
This could be as big or bigger showtime than Magic Showtime. This is must-see TV. So it's hard for me to knock it in the regular season, except for one X factor. And that is that guy who's not playing for the Clippers right now. So my dream scenario here is that Kawhi Leonard, and I'm told, high-placed sources, very close sources, that he has a really good chance of being ready by March.
Okay.
If he's ready by March, and you never know because these things are tricky, and you just got to wait it out.
Right.
And again, his nature, to your point, is not one to push. But he's also, once he crosses that 30 line, where he goes into his 30s, he knows that the clock is ticking.
Right.
So I think he's going to push harder than usual to come back.
Okay.
If he can be ready for the playoffs, and the Clippers could just eke in, as maybe they have to play in, I don't know, but let's say they wind up the 8th seed. This would be my dream scenario.
Right.
If the Lakers do win the West and they're the 1 seed,
1-8.
and we get a little 1-8 in the first round, my dream scenario would be that the Clippers would shock the Lakers, because it would be no real upset, because the Clippers are really good if they have their guy.
Right.
And if he's right and he's back and he's what he was against Dallas and Utah last year before he got hurt, you would be in big trouble. And I believe that the chemical imbalance in the Lakers won't really manifest itself until the postseason. So my prediction is that the Lakers will have the best record in the West and lose in the first round, because that's when it will all fall apart. That's when it will all go haywire.
Well, Skip, I think the thing is, I think they'll struggle early with chemistry issues, and once they get to the postseason, everything will fall into place because they would have played together for such a long period of time. I think early on you're going to have that's when you're going to see the roughness and the rough draft of this team, because they haven't played together. And Russ is like you said, Russ is we know what he is as an individual commodity. But what we don't know is that when he's playing with 2 other superstars, how does he blend that? Because he's never had to do that. Like I said, Russ has always been 1 or 2. He's always been the first or second option. Okay. Playing with KD, playing with James Harden, playing with Bradley Beal. Now he goes from 2 to 3, and now he's the 3rd best player. Now, so the question is he going to be accepting of that role? Because you know what happens. You start, and he doesn't strike me as a guy that lets this bother him, but Russ doesn't look the same. He's only averaging 17 points. He's only averaging 6 rebounds. He's only averaging 8 assists. I mean, I remember when he was a huge triple-double the last 4 or 5 years, then all of a sudden, man, screw this. I need to get this streak to get these triple-doubles. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. Like I said, if he was anywhere else with 2 superstars, I was like, Skip, I don't believe this is going to work. But with LeBron, I believe LeBron will take a step back somewhat and says, okay, guys, this is what we need to do. They had to have had this conversation, Skip. You don't sign off on something like this without having a conversation before Rob Pelinka pulls the trigger. Like, okay, how much are we going to be willing to sacrifice to reach our ultimate destination, which is an NBA championship?
All right, so my favorite quote of last night, my LOL quote of the night, came from your man Frankie V, as in Frank Vogel, the head coach, quote unquote, of the Lakers, because we know who the real head coach is.
Frankie V.
Frankie V says of Russ, he's still playing the way he always does. We ask him to be effective and aggressive without the basketball. When Bron has it, when AD has it, every bit as much as we're asking him to do it with the basketball. Right. Okay, that sounds great on what we said was October 19th. Okay, so that was on October 18th. It sounds great on October 18th. I am not buying it going forward, because I'm going to restate my position after Russ's doc dropped last Friday night. Passion play Russell Westbrook. He even has a documentary about his life and times as he finally comes home to Los Angeles as the only Laker who's from the area, who grew up a diehard Laker fan. And he's been handed the keys to the kingdom by the king to take over as the Laker point guard, which he believes he was born to be.
Right.
What is Russell Westbrook at heart? Old dog, new tricks? No. Can't teach the old dog new tricks, and he's got a lot of dog in him. but it is solo dog. He is nothing but a solo act, and it is a sensational, can't miss, must-see TV solo act. But he is nothing but an all-time great stat machine driven to TD, triple-double. He's all about TDs, and I believe he's still all about TDs on the biggest stage he's ever been on, and I'm sorry, it will not work. Will not fit with LeBron. It will drive LeBron out of his mind.
I think the thing what Frankie V is asking is that for a lot of time when guys like that are so used to having the ball, we would see him when Bradley Beal had the ball, or we see him when James Harden have the ball, he goes stand in the corner. No, we're going to need you to dive to the basket. We're going to try to get you to get some easy baskets like that. We can't have them playing 5-on-4 because you're standing in the corner. And I think Russ understands that I can get some cheap day. While they got their back turned, I can sneak to the rim and hey, get me a couple of layups.
Okay.
They're gonna have to make play 5-on-5 always. And Russ understands that he's gonna be asked to do some things that he hasn't been asked to do in the past. And I believe he's more than willing because he understands. Because you said he'll never win a championship without that 7-foot guy that's currently in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And he wants to show you and a lot of other people just for himself. He knows that his resume is incomplete without that championship, and he has a great opportunity to go and get it. And I believe it happens.
So I'm going to restate my position on Russell Westbrook as in brick, because he is simply, and I believe you'll even agree with this, he is the worst superstar jump shooter we have ever seen. Just as a pure jump shooter from 3 or even from 2, he is a liability. He can be a liability on defense. So if LeBron down the stretch of game says, Russ, I got this. He wants to dribble the ball up and initiate and quarterback, which he should. Do you keep Russ on the floor? Because his man is going to lay back in the lane and say, LeBron and AD, I'm in here too. I'm going to bother you in this lane. You're going to, because LeBron, what does he do best? He kicks it to three-point shooters. We can't kick it to Russ and depend on him to make threes.
Hey, kick it to him. Russ will make those shots in the big moment.
Really?
I trust him.
Okay, well, he's never been trustable before. Is it all going to change now?
Different place, different location.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so my theory from the start, I restate this position as we go into the first night of regular season, is that LeBron is the shrewdest operator in the NBA. If he can pull this off with Russell Westbrook, it elevates him, I think, just into the GOAT conversation. You think he is the GOAT, I say phony GOAT, but even I, from this side of the table, will at least elevate LeBron into the conversation with Michael Jeffrey Jordan if he could pull this off this year with Russell Westbrook as his point guard, because I think it's impossible to pull it off. But I also believe that LeBron is shrewd enough as an operator to know if it doesn't work, the ultimate scapegoat for the quote-unquote GOAT would be Russell Westbrook, because everybody's going to turn their sights to Russell because he's never been able to do it before, and he did get rejected by Kevin and by Paul George and by James Harden. So
And Kawhi.
Kawhi just dumped on him. Kawhi just did him dirty.
He did.
He did.
But you said something. You said if they were to win the championship. You mean when they win the championship?
That's what you say.
That's what's going to happen.
Which brings me to my pick. It's just going to be Kevin Durant's year. I believe with or without Kyrie, and I'm actually to the point I am hoping there is no Kyrie, because then we can see Kevin Durant in all his glory. What he did for the Olympic team last summer was extraordinary, and I don't think he got enough credit. There's no way they're going to win without him.
Right.
Because every time they got in trouble, they just said, here, you do it.
No, they're not going to win without him, Skip. But I think the thing is that now there's only two. There's not the sacrifices that they were going to have to make between the three of them. So I can legitimately see Kevin Durant averaging 31, 32 points a game. James Harden averaging 26, 27 a game.
Well, and maybe 12 assists.
Right, and that's the thing, Skip, because KD doesn't need the ball. It ain't like KD got to get you isolated. KD can catch and shoot. He can put the ball on the floor, get to the mid-range, get all the way to the hoop. You foul him, he going to make 88, 90% of his free throws. So he going to get his buckets. James Harden is not quite as efficient as Kevin Durant, but now the question is, Skip, now you know this year there's the emphasis, all that jumping into and all that other stuff. We see a lot of guys, we saw Steph, we saw Harden, we saw a lot of guys like, hold on, Y'all not calling that this year? They're like, play on, bro.
Okay,
Play on.
but KD does not.
No,
need
KD
that
don't need it. No,
much,
KD gonna get his somewhere between 28 and 32, like he always has.
Okay, well, I say KD's going to get another MVP this year because it's setting up for that. And I say James will lead the league in assists because he readily accepted that point guard role that Kyrie handed
Yeah,
to
well,
him.
he was a better pure point guard than Kyrie.
He was.
Kyrie was a two masquerading.
And listen, Sean Marks is starting to become the new R.C. Buford, and he was the protege, obviously, of R.C. in San Antonio. But Sean Marks, he was extraordinary in the offseason, just like Kevin was, because when I look at this roster with no Kyrie, and they added Patty Mills. You love that.
I like Mills. I like Millsap.
And LaMarcus came back, and James Johnson is just an enforcer. He's just a tough guy who knows how to play.
But you know what, Skip? You said he came out of the R.C. Buford tree. R.C. Buford's job was made so much easier when you have the greatest power forward. So Skip, you just build around that.
Okay, I got it. But they said no to DeAndre Jordan in place of Nicholas Claxton, who I loved last year at 6'11". And then they brought back Bruce Brown and Blake, obviously, and Joe Harris is still there shooting it. And listen, Cam Thomas, they stole him in the draft.
Yeah.
He was a 27th overall pick, and all he was the MVP of the Summer League. 6'5", he could just shoot the lights out of LSU, and he averaged 11 in preseason. Well, you don't think he'll help a little bit here in the Kyrie role? So you're going to miss Kyrie's clutch shooting because he is clutch. But Kevin, I don't know. He made one of the clutchest shots I've ever seen. By the way, can we just see that?
We
got to see that one last time because this would have won the championship.
But it did.
It's like his toenail. His little toenail is on the line, and they said no.
That
would have ended your Giannis Bucks last year. That was the end of them.
Hey, Twitter, I think
that
you got to get Skip mentions and let him know that they didn't win the game with this shot.
Yep, that would have been over. I'm on the floor on that one. I said the game is. Wait a minute, his toenail is on.
Man, Skip, you saw the official at the top. You had two fingers down.
He had magnifying glass eyes to be able to see that. He did. My God. Well, you're going to see a bunch of that this year because I got KD MVP.
Skip, you make it seem like I'm saying KD isn't any good. I understand what KD is. You believe there's no question. He's never not been, since the last 7-8 years, he's never not been out of the top 3 as far as best players in the NBA. But Giannis, I got to like Giannis because I've seen him 9 in the preseason. He's shooting that 3, pulling up with jumping. I'm like, hold on, Giannis. You already.
All right, drive that bandwagon right over the cliff.
Hey, let the man have his night tonight, Skip. He'll get his ring, so y'all might get him tonight because they say the rings.
Picking the Nets tonight.
No, the rings, Skip. You know how it is on ring night. Them rings so big. I've been with Jason LeBeverly in that thing. Like it's big.
Yeah, it's going to be out of
good.
Big.
Enjoy it while you can.
Tonight is the night. I'm just happy we don't have to talk about preseason anymore. We can finally talk about the NBA. I cannot wait. No mercy.
Athletes work hard to keep their bodies at peak performance. It's time to treat mental health the same way. We exercise, take supplements, and eat right to keep our bodies going. Therapy can have the same game-changing effect on mental health. Treat your body like a muscle. Give it the same level of care as the rest of your body with TalkSpace. TalkSpace makes it easy to match with a licensed therapist whenever and wherever you are, with unlimited messaging and secure live video sessions. When experiencing depression, anxiety, or other struggles, TalkSpace is here to help and will set achievable goals to ensure your progression. So take a time out when you need it and turn to TalkSpace. If you need a little support to help you through the end of the year, or if you want to start building towards a better upcoming year, TalkSpace is here to help. Match with a licensed therapist when you go to TalkSpace.com and get $100 off your first month with the promo code C13. That's $100 off when you use promo code C13 at TalkSpace.com.
Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we can all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
Titans got a 34-31 win over the Bills, and the game, it came down to one crucial play. Josh Allen and Buffalo had a chance late to tie it or take the lead, but the QB was stuffed on 4th and short with 22 seconds left. And afterward, Bills coach Sean McDermott defended the team's choice, saying, quote, "I'll take Josh Allen 10 times out of 10. So, Shannon, should the Bills have gone for it or just take the field goal for overtime?
No, Skip, I'm going for it. If you can't pick up a third of a yard, a half of a yard, or whatever it was, I thought Josh Allen gave a hell of an effort, Skip, on third down to try to get there. And what
He
happened?
was a little short.
He was a little short, yes. Because what happened, Skip, he had the ball, and when he saw he was going to get hit, he tucked it. If he had just left it, but he was concerned that they were going to make him fumble the ball, he saw Dak Prescott, what happened, trying to go over the top, and he ended up fumbling the football. But, Skip, in that situation, look, it's as simple as this. You make it, you're a genius. If you're not, you should have kicked the ball. We saw John Harbaugh ask Lamar Jackson, you want to go for it? Lamar says yes, they go for it. Brandon Staley had been going for it on 4th downs all year. He goes for it early and they keep missing it. Like, what the hell are you thinking about? Staley, the head coach of the Chargers.
Yep.
But Skip, in this situation, you got a 6'5", 240-pound quarterback. And what happened? The guy jumped the snap, got a great read, left tackle got blitzed. You never let a guy cross your face on short yardage and goal line. He crossed his face. Josh Allen did slip some, but Skip, I'm not so sure had he not slipped because the DN got such a great jump across the left tackle's face. I think he was going to stuff him anyway because in a situation like that, you're trying to get the guy to bounce the ball. You don't want him to go straight ahead. You want him to bounce it, and then you see those other guys going to be able to step in and make a play. So I don't have a problem with that, Skip. And if you look at the way the defenses were playing, I'm not so sure they're not going to win that game because they only had one punt after the first quarter. Tennessee had started to go up and down the field. They had no answer for Derrick Henry, Skip, and we'll talk about Derrick Henry in relationship to the MVP, but he was sensational again last night. Tannehill started off slow. He was awful. I think at one point, Skip, he might have been 9 or 20, and then all of a sudden he heated up.
Yep.
A.J. Brown got going. He started finding receivers, and so, Skip, I do not have a problem with that. Go for it in that situation. You only need a half a yard. You mean to tell me you can't get a half a yard? The offensive line had been playing really well up until that point. So for me, I would have gone for it. I don't really like these guys. A lot of these guys going for it on 4th down, Skip, on their own 30, on their own 40-yard line. Not far. Not that early in the game. But in this situation with Josh Allen, I'm going for it. He said 10 out of 10.
Unbelievable! This is the number one fuck me in the asshole light.
14 going into that
Fuck!
So he's
not every time.
13 out of 14.
But I can always slow down for yellow lights and then roll through them.
He might be 6'5", 250. Yeah, that's a big man.
Flacco's an inch taller.
Right. Right.
Okay, so I hear you on all that, and I completely agree. You're on the road. You're clearly the better team.
Yes.
Even though Tennessee, to your point, have been going up and down the field, who's the better team? It's just better. Right. And when I look at these numbers, you're already 7 of 13 on third down.
Right. Oh.
And you had run.
There's no shot I'm going to get the front row, right?
Grand total for the game is 7.
Someone's got to be impatient. There's always that one.
Dominating time of possession.
Is that light green? The light is green right now. Yeah.
And yet, the problem is you end up 2 of 5
in the red zone.
That's
the
lost the
ball
game. Okay. So, but the point is, you're the superior team. I give you that. And there were moments last night when I'm saying, man, maybe Buffalo is the best team because offense, defense. And remember, Buffalo has had 2 shutouts. Mm-hmm. The whole rest of the league has had one other one. Okay. So I'm ready to bless them. I'm ready to coronate, to elevate, and then this happens. But when you get to that moment of truth, if you're that guy in that team, and if you're an MVP candidate, just put the ball in his hands and say, get me. It's a foot. I don't know. Maybe it's 2 feet at the most.
Yeah.
And what happened? He took the wrong route because he's not Tom Brady. What do I always tell you? You laugh at me. Tom Brady is simply the greatest quarterback sneaker we have ever seen. Would you believe that on quarterback sneaks in his career, Tom Brady is 31 of 35? That's that's off the charts because over the last 30 years, the only quarterbacks who are close to them, speaking of Flacco has 18 sneaks for first downs, and Roethlisberger, another big, strong quarterback, has 18. Well, Brady's got 31 out of 35, and I always say it's genius what he's doing because you have to read the sneak also.
Right.
You have to read it, and you have to anticipate, are they going to crash left? Is everybody going to crash left? Because on that play, the whole Titans line crashes to their left. And Jeffrey Simmons is alone now because he's 300 plus. Remember, he was the 19th overall pick in 2019 out of Mississippi State.
Right.
Well, he just crashes across the face of Deion Dawkins, who's just caught unawares, and he loses leverage.
Right.
Deion Dawkins is wiped out, and Jeffrey Simmons absolutely blows the play sky high because he crashes right into Josh Allen's lane. And so Josh hits a brick wall. There's nowhere to go. And then his feet go out from under.
Exactly.
He tries to push off.
I'm not so sure, even if his feet doesn't go out there because the defense, I mean, it gets
I
such
think
a great
speed
job.
doesn't matter. It
I'm
doesn't
not so
matter
sure
if
he
I
made
catch
it
these
anyway.
fucking green lights or not.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, if Josh Allen has a little better feel for how to sneak, if you can sense it and smell it right, and you take the snap and you hesitate just a split second, and then you go left with the ball, go hard far left.
I don't know. But Skip, if you look at it, that's what they want him to do. That's why you want him to bounce because here's 58, and then here come Meyer
in there. But I think 58, he would have had leverage on 58. He would have got lower than 58. But listen. What happens is Jeffrey Simmons is so low, he's on the ground.
Right.
He is literally, because Josh tried to go 6'5" to the ground and try to go under, take the underpass. And there's no underpass.
No.
It is completely blockaded by 300 plus pounds of Jeffrey Simmons. So you've made the wrong choice because he tried to walk into it because he starts in the gun, obviously. He tries to walk up and catch him off guard like, just snap it to me on the walk, and I'll take the snap and just dive left. Well, you got to read it and feel it and know where to stick your head because Brady always picks the right hole, and he just crashes headlong. And Josh Allen said after the game that he doesn't find quarterback sneaking that much fun. He said, I don't really like it.
it's enough for you.
But you're always taking shots at Brady like, you're not a tough guy. You know, you just get rid of the ball. You don't take any punishment. Well, you don't think Brady takes some punishment all over those sneaks?
But Skip, you're thinking that Brady's had 35 sneak attempts in 22 seasons.
Okay.
So that's basically.
But every time he does it, it's just money.
Yeah.
Because if you can do it and pull it off, it is the most money play because you don't have to risk a handoff.
Yeah, that's sometimes that's the difference between winning and losing the game. That's the difference in winning and losing. Sometimes we don't realize it, and a lot of times it doesn't come down to the last play of the game. Sometimes Brady is doing it to continue to drive to make sure you don't get the ball back. And so it's a third down.
Yeah.
And so, give Brady credit for doing that. But I'm going to give Simmons a great job. He did a great job on the road, Skip. So you're already going to be a little late because the crowd is going crazy. So you don't hear it as well as you would if you're at home. He jumped the count. He wasn't outside, but I see he jumped the count. When Josh Allen basically said, he's moving. He didn't get the tuck. He got the up. And Simmons already crossed the whole
crashed. The whole line crashed hard left.
That's what you do, Skip. I'm trying to get across God's face because I want the guy to bounce the football. If I can get him to bounce it, I've done my job.
All right. So did they have Derrick Henry in their backfield? They do not.
They do not.
And I look at what happened last night. Singletary had 5 rushes for 27 yards, and old Zach Moss had 8 rushes for 24 yards. So you don't want to put the ball in their hands, right?
Yeah, that's small guys, Skip. I mean, Derrick Henry is 6'3" and I am 250, 260.
Well, you told me he's one of the biggest huge.
Yeah. They lied. When they talk about 240, they lied. He ain't 240.
Okay, so you don't have the run, the battering ram runner. So
Correct.
you're saying, okay, so what else are you going to do? You're going to keep Josh in the shotgun and snap it to him and let him roll out?
No.
It's only a foot.
Right, exactly.
So
Exactly.
do you want him to try to read option? Do you want to try to get him just to roll all the way to the pylon?
Right.
Try to beat somebody?
And Skip, you remember Coach Dungy say he believed Peyton Manning's neck injury happened on the quarterback's neck in Washington.
Yeah.
So those guys coming in giving you that's their opportunity, Skip. It ain't no he a quarterback, he defenseless. That's your opportunity to try to tee off on him.
Yeah.
And you better believe they're trying to tee off on him. But Skip, I would have gone for it in a situation like that.
Yeah.
It looks to me the defense were tired. Derrick Henry, when the first quarter, Skip, he's going for no yards. He's getting tackled in the backfield. Now all of a sudden, they're 3 yards. They're 4 yards. They're 8 yards. They're 11 yards. And I knew, Skip, when they were, what was it, 6-0.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys are going to regret this. And the next thing you know, 76 yards later, as bad as they were playing, they were in the lead.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, Buffalo, you just made this a lot more difficult on yourself than what it really needed to be.
All right, and quick point about Derrick Henry's 76-yard run. In all my years of covering and watching and studying this league, I'm not sure I've ever seen that big a human, that strong a human, that powerful a human run that fast with a football under his arm. He was motoring. I don't know, they said it.
21.8.
21.1.